What do you guys think of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? He's anti-war, anti-IRS, anti-CIA. I'm for him and he'll get my vote, but something tells me it won't come to that. I think it's a shame we have to discuss him on Conspiracy Reddit. I think he's at the point in his life where he don't give a fuck. He knows how dirty most of these politicians are. Left and right. H has seen things that are burned into his memory. He knows they are destroying our country on purpose and he wants to change things. Maybe he also wants to revenge his father and uncle, not by killing, but by destroying the agencies, and that did it. Person shrugging. His family cursed with being assassinated. I have donated to his campaign and plan to vote for him. I believe RFK Jr. represents our best chance to reclaim a free society. I sure as hell won't vote for either Biden or Trump. That is certain. Kennedy 24. I would be thrilled if he won over Biden. Medical freedom and anti-globalist knows Fauci is a monster. I like him and am sad that he won't win. They won't let him. His interview on Rogan yesterday really did change my mind on a few things. But the last 30 minutes were the most impressive. He really does feel like he genuinely wants to help America. People say the same about Trump, but Trump is 100 not a unifying figure. H is quite divisive. Sure, it has its upsides because his snarky comments are oftentimes hilarious, but is that what the world needs? I'd vote for Kennedy in a heartbeat. God save the Queen. Man, the first would love to see him get the nomination, but no chance. I took some time to listen to what he's saying now and what he's said before. He's the first Democrat that I've ever considered voting for. Ever. If you are basing your opinion from either side of the political spectrum on what mainstream media and other politicians are saying about him, you owe it to yourself to listen to one of his recent long-form interviews. I'm pretty right-leaning on most things, but he's a really interesting guy just going off of his last name. But deeper than that, I think he's pretty smart and seems like the most genuine one running IMO. I feel like he could actually bring the country back together, as he said. It will take time. But I seriously could see him unifying parties, or at least blurring the line, which is what we need. I mean, the whole thing he's running on is telling the American people the truth. Who can't get behind that? United States. Sucks to see him get blackballed though. He's an equal opportunity mood destroyer. He has talking points and facts that every demographic will have problems with. I love it. It's a breath of fresh air with a level of accountability and genuine concern for our current position and shaky future. Anyone who opens their ears and minds to what he has to say will be a more informed person for doing so. I'm pretty far right, and I would vote for him. I don't agree with a lot of his stuff politically, but he does seem authentic. There has to be something said about that. Unfortunately, the authentic ones aren't in the in, and they never have a shot enough funding. Hence why he's running as a Democrat against the incumbent in the same party. Not a shot. Anti-vax and anti-war are at the top of my list. Trump or Kennedy? The first vote Kennedy. I think he's someone that would make a great president. However, if he starts getting more eyes on him, we already know how this is going to end. Love him. After the last couple years, there was no chance I'd ever vote for a Democrat, no matter who their opponent was in the presidential election. After listening to the interview, there's no way I'd vote for anyone besides RFK in the presidential race, no matter who the opponent. If he's not the Democratic nominee, then I'm voting whoever the GOP puts up. He gets my vote if he's nominated, but also he prob gon die. Probably targeted. Love him. I love him. The guy talks a good game. I would love to see them give him a chance. He's got my vote. Spitting truths. What's not to love? He's better than anyone else we got. He'd win a fair race. I think if the DNC had debates this time around, he would fare very well. But they already said there would be no debates and they're going with Biden. So he doesn't have too much of a chance. The only people I see shitting on Kennedy are, ironically, Democrats who are in the tank for Joe. Sadly, the MSM are going to launch a slow burn, offensive campaign to bury him. Let's hope he can withstand it. He has common sense. Presidential material. I love him, kind of scared he will be assassinated. I think if he's on the Democratic ticket against any of the currently leading Republicans, the country will be in a win-win situation for the first time in my lifetime. He seems too good to be true, sort of like 2016 Bernie Sanders. The Democrats are too establishment to let someone like RFK win without kicking and screaming. Plus, like in 2016 when those pesky voters picked Sanders, superdelegates are more than enough to call a close race. All the world is a stage and he is playing a part. Rule of the mind. Really like him. I watched the interview with Rogan and really liked what he was laying down. I lost a ton of respect for Breaking Point's interview. I don't agree with a lot of his policies. Agree with some. But I would trust him 100 more than 90 of the politicians out there. Better him than Trump, Biden or DeSantis. I'm reading his Fauci book now. It's eye-opening. I think he will be dismissed simply due to his speech trouble. He's way better than Biden, actually coherent and knows what year and decade we are in. I like his persona and think he's a good guy, but there are still some questionable ties here and there. He'd either get in there and be great or get in and be compromised. All politics at that level deals with some sort of dark money. Just remember that. Ultimately, there are no heroes coming to save us. Get involved locally and try and make a difference. The county level is the only place we can really do that, so get involved. He is the only one of the current batch of candidates I can envision voting for without puking. He needs to go after Biden. His book on Fauci is amazing, and as an independent I love that he's upset the DNC. We shouldn't have to speak of RFK Jr. in the conspiracy sub. Says a lot, doesn't it? I'm keeping an eye on him and believe he can save the Democrat Party. Furthermore, he not only carries the good name, Kennedy, but he's living up to the name. Everything I've heard so far sounds good. And Americans on either side should take notice. He's the only politician I've ever seen that has an equal amount of both Democrats and Republicans saying they would vote for him. Like ever. He's one of those ones I do feel like he's doing it for the right reasons. I mean, I'm sure he made plenty off the environmental litigation, but didn't make a career of it, and definitely not an elite. Great as he is, his voice is a killer. Man shrugging, light skin tone, I hate to say it, but it's true. The elections are rigged, so he's got no chance. From what I've seen, one of the most competent politicians that has emerged lately. Just curious to see if he keeps pushing back against the establishment left.